It's Friday, and so there's Tech Friday on my stream, twitch.tv/DC Lasair. I'm DC, so this all works out fairly well.
Except the time that it's on Saturday.
Except the time it was on Saturday, yes. Exactly. And then I had to do a dimensional shift, but we're not getting into quantum mechanics this episode.
Okay, good.
So So today I have a guest. Yay! The one, the only Urban Bohemian. Herb, say hi's to the peoples.
Hi, I am Urban Bohemian, Brian or Herb. I am there it is right there. I am a variety streamer. I play Virgil in Rivals of Waterdeep. I play DeRoss in the Cyberpunk Independence podcast, and I enjoy brunch and disco. And I pretend to know things about tech so that DC invites me on for Tech Friday.
So today,
fake it till you make it, kids. That's the advice. Just
yeah. Just push a button and something will happen. And hopefully it's the right thing. But even if the wrong thing, it could be fun.
I don't think that's how it works, but okay.
Yeah.
Maybe not the wrong thing. I mean, it's just all buttons. It is all buttons at this point.
It's all buttons. And we're going to talk about a bunch of buttons. Totally how that works. Exactly. And so we're going to talk about the tech used in the final episode, sadness, of Rivals of Waterdeep. We did a surprise and had to hold a secret for a while that we were all going to Chicago to a place called the Chicago Podcast Studio and record the finale. And so that was done a couple of weeks ago, and then I edited it, and you saw the results on Sunday. And that final episode is now available on the Rivals of Waterdeep YouTube and available wherever all your fine podcasts are available.
Yes.
Available. Okay. You should get the guy who produced Rivals on. I hear he's great. Thanks, Sue.
That's just it. Just mirror yourself, and a little time delay, and you can be a guest on your own show. It's fine.
Yeah. I can do that. All right. So we were at a place. Hey, thanks for the sub, Steven. Yay. +1 vote to get the guy who produced Rivals on. Excellent. Thank you so much. I am using the new Twitch alert thingies. So when you see the graphics pop up, that's all Twitch is doing at this point.
Excellent.
Cypher, hello. Welcome on in.
Hey, Tanya.
There. So hello, Steven, Sue, Race. Who'd I miss? Springleaf, Lily. Hi. All right. So we record the episode here at a place called, they had another name, but their website is chicagopodcast.studio, which they're the only company I know of using a .studio domain.
Oh, that's new.
So, yeah.
Huh.
So there they are. And I'm going to pull up the demo window here, and you'll get an idea of the equipment they used. We're going to go over their hardware that they had. So let me go to that. And above here, the picture in the upper left is basically what we saw. They have DSLR cameras. You can see there's some lights going on here. But what I want you to pay attention to is the two things right here. The Rodecaster Pro 2 and an ATEM Mini from Blackmagic. These allowed me to get an episode to edit, these two things, along with the cameras flowing into them. And switch back. And so the Ada Mini is a production switcher. You plug in up to 4 cameras into it. Oh, it was a lovely space. We'll talk about that in a minute. You plug in 4 cameras into it, and because that's how many cameras it can support, and you can just switch between them, and they go up onto a monitor. You put an HDMI cable into a monitor, can watch it, and it can record all 4 camera signals and a switch version and put them onto a hard drive. In fact, Rivals is on this hard drive here.
Ooh.
Ooh, yeah. All 4 streams of the camera. So basically 3 cameras, or no, 4 camera streams and a switched version that had the audio on it. And since it was a Blackmagic design product, if you use DaVinci Resolve, they had a file that opened up as a DaVinci Resolve project, and it made it very, very streamlined to edit. It made it so much easier than I thought it was going to be. And so the audio from the I keep messing up the name, the Rodecaster Pro 2 was also feeding into the Blackmagic, the Ada Mini by Blackmagic Design. And so
Okay.
it was just marrying everything together in one take. And so it had a version that the producer there live switched. We had one producer and a camera person. And so when there was kind of an error or a camera angle that just didn't work out, I could go in and go, okay, I'm going to take the angle from this feed because it just looks better at this moment, and put that over, and then have it go right over in the timeline.
So even when, because I remember like it was weird to process because it was like I remember that day, but then didn't remember a whole lot about that day. But I remember that they were kind of moving the cameras back and forth a little bit to try and capture who was speaking, but they also had the fixed stationary cameras. So regardless of if they were panning, you still had like there's fixed shots to be able to pull from in that moment if the pan didn't work. Okay.
Yeah, and if nothing else, there was always the main shot of the whole table to go to.
And the audio out from the road, that was just like a single, was that just like a single audio track for the whole thing?
Yeah, that so the Blackmagic design project, when it opened up, it had the switch version and that audio track as one thing, as one file. There wasn't an audio track with
Okay.
the other camera signals.
Got it.
But he also provided me the audio as a separate file should I have needed it.
Oh, cool.
So because they said they didn't use the the DaVinci. I'm losing my terms. the DaVinci editing software file. They don't normally use that, and I'm like, well, I use DaVinci Resolve, so I'm going to use that file. And it was great
Okay.
because it opened that up, and I had one solid timeline of everything. And then in the upper left corner where you have your track listing and everything, it just had that going, okay, camera, here's a folder with camera 1, here's a folder with camera 2, here's a folder with camera 3, here's a folder with camera 4. I could just pull those in on top of the main timeline and cut it where I needed to, and have each camera angle just be a different video track.
And had they, I mean, I guess was there one main, if you got all 4 as like when you open the file, you got all 4 available cameras, were you then kind of watching it yourself and deciding essentially which feed to cut to as the episode played out, or were there already kind of
So
like
the other thing DaVinci Resolve did is every time there was a switch, it made a cut in the video track. It made an edit point, essentially.
oh
So I would just scan forward to where there was an edit point, see if it looked good. If it didn't, I would pull in a different camera angle. And, I checked the whole episode and make sure everything else worked. But every time there was a switch, I could see where that switch was. So since all the cameras and the audio started at the same time. I just lined all the tracks, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't need the information from this track to this edit. I don't need the information from this track. I just need the information from this track now on top of the other video track. And yeah, I just filled it out, and I could fade it in out or just leave it as is or have it run a little longer to cover any cut to make it look like one seamless thing. Because a couple times I'm just like leaving it longer on one of the views, and I'm having going from the track from one video track to another. But since everything lined up, you didn't see any cut or anything. It just all looked like the
No.
same video stream.
Nice. That's amazing. I'd never been in like a podcast space before, like a recording space like that. So any podcast or anything I've done has always been at home, and it was weird, refreshing, but weird to not have to do any of the things that we usually as attendees have to do. Like we didn't have to count down, we didn't have to do a clap so everyone's audio lined up. It was just kind of like, okay, start talking, and we did. So that was really cool. I was telling DC earlier, and we've all said that we didn't have any mute button. That's the one thing that I missed being at the table with the microphones that they had, which were very good, but I couldn't mute it if I needed to make odd noises and not interrupt somebody else doing their thing. But yeah, it was a very cool space.
Yeah, and they have a picture of their studio here. I'm trying to of the somewhere there's a picture of a long picture of the entire space. I'm looking for that right now. So,
Mhm.
da, 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 da. So vamp for the audience or something. I don't know.
I don't know. Like it was a surreal experience just because of the experience itself, but also like going to be there in person, sitting around a table, getting it set up for everything, and not really super being familiar working with any. I mean, we all stream, so we all work with cameras that are in front of us that we have complete control over. So kind of just sitting there and trusting that we got to see we would see what the shot looked like and which one had the whole table and that this camera and that camera. But it was very much like you're trusting that they're just going to get good shots of you. And it's nice that it all worked out. Like there wasn't, there were a few moments where we were trying to directly look at the camera, but mostly we were just looking at each other, and the cameras were able to grab that.
Yeah. Okay, I found the photo. I'll bring it up just a second here.
Awesome.
All right, so scroll that down a bit. So this is from almost the front entrance of the space, this picture on the right, and it goes all the way to the back here. Now that very back was a storage area, and the rivals were in that space right by that far curtain there. That's where we were at. They had a table set up here with where you see my cursor, with the mixer and the video switcher and a monitor, and then so there was the producer, and then the camera person was sitting here. All the cameras were around them, and all the rivals were right behind that curtain, right behind this purplish looking curtain. They're all black curtains, but this light makes it look a little purple. So they have about 4 different spaces set up to record in various configurations, and the building was like a big old converted industrial space.
Yeah. I don't know. It was very much like I guess I've only had experience of one other kind of like photo shoot thing with sound and audio, and it was very much like that. Like it's a very professional thing. And I know that they said that they still were having clients, and like they just had people in discussing doing podcasts and doing movies, and if you saw the initial shot on their website where really it's just that smaller table setup, that's what in my mind when I think about a podcast I think about two people sitting across from each other and doing that. And I realized even in that they were able to put their cameras so they would get again the whole table, and then they would have a shot for each person. So that's nice, and it was cool, and it makes me realize like all those TikToks I see of like bits from podcasts. I'm like, yeah, they obviously have professional everything because their camera cuts are seamless and the things look great. So yeah, um, it was very cool. But again, from the aspect of being a player slash cast member, to know that we were in good production hands, that again, we just had to sit there and focus on what we do and not have to worry about managing any tech on the fly.
It was brilliant, yeah. And I just sat there taking behind the scenes photos. So it
How
was
did
a
it
great
feel?
time.
Like,
Oh,
how did it feel for you? Like, basically, I mean, first off, seeing their setup and knowing you were going to get your hands on a product that was done by that, but also was it weird to, again, yeah, as you say, just kind of sit there and not have hands on doing anything while we were doing an episode?
yeah, it was a bit weird because I'm like, I want to touch the buttons, but I want to
We
switch the
weren't
thing. But
100% sure. Like when we saw that you had familiarity, we weren't 100% sure if they were going to have you doing it or not. So we were, Henry and I were like, is DC going to actually like produce, or is he just going to get that? Um, but at the end of it all, I'm glad, like, I saw your thread on carefully safeguarding the end product until you got home. And like, that was just delightful. But yeah, it's very cool.
yeah,
I'm hoping I'm still coming through. Twitch has decided to completely freeze.
you are coming through fine on my end.
Okay. Yeah, Twitch is just not twitching over here at all. So whatever.
So yeah,
Oh, okay. And chat moved. All right.
yeah,
Then yeah,
chat
don't worry
mode.
about it. There's that long moment when it's like, wait, is everything frozen? Am I frozen? What's going on? Am I the problem?
All right, and
But yeah, it was lovely.
here's the Twitter thread that Herb just mentioned. It's a long one.
Yeah. But you said when you got home when you essentially got back to your desktop and you open up DaVinci, it was just a for the most part, it appears to be that processing their product into the final product was more or less easy, like on the easier side for you.
Oh yeah, yeah. Everything since like I said, the video switcher again was called the Atom Mini. You can post that link into chat. Since that's a Blackmagic design product and DaVinci Resolve is a Blackmagic design product that they give away for free, just so you use their
Oh,
ecosystem. Yeah, it's a free
okay.
editing software. It's really good. I've been using it for almost a year now, exclusively, and then I just learned a trick like 2 months ago that saves me so much time, just fading stuff in and out. Uh,
Excellent.
so yeah, because it all understands each other and they build the hardware and the software. Uh, Coming in, I don't want to quite use the term breeze, but not having to line up audio and video and having that track already lined up is awesome.
That sounds like the most amazing thing, because I've seen when you've shown screenshots of audio, and I've seen other people do audio, and just having to find that point when everything starts. Like normally we use a wow, the no, wait. What do we use for our audio? What do we use for our podcast audio? Why can't I remember the
Simplecast,
name of the website? Civil no,
okay. Oh,
to record it though.
Zencaster to record.
Zencaster.
Yeah.
Yes. Like we start Zencaster early so that there is no like, again, I'm just so familiar with the everyone either claps or everyone starts counting down so you know how everything lines up. But because we started early, so yeah, like there wasn't a bunch of waveforms to look at. It was just good to go, which is like I was concerned from a professional and also like friend standpoint of please don't let you get home and all of a sudden like this is a gargantuan thing to have to do in a week.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I had time, but once I figured out how DaVinci Resolve looked at the files on there, and I'm like, okay, I can pace myself with this. I can go
Yeah.
and I can break, and then I can be done by. I think I was planning on being done by Wednesday, Thursday, which I was, and then I could take care of all the other stuff of the uploading and everything before the show.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, I would go say an hour, hour and a half one night, and then I'd go 2 hours and another night or something like that. And because I knew exactly how everything was divided up, and I could see how I was putting everything together in my head. Uh, yeah, I could schedule myself a lot better, and made it a lot. Took off the pressure of like doing a big crunch night or something like that.
Okay. So like I'm looking at the ATEM Mini, and it's been suggested. I've seen the. It was suggested to me. I mentioned again to DC before we started the stream that it might be something I could use in my kitchen streams. Which for me, I only have one camera that's HDMI. The rest are USB. So I would there would need a pass through for those. But I'm I guess I'm wondering. They talk about using this for live streaming, and
Hmm.
it seems like a heck of a lot of for most of us who are one person in our computer room or living room, this seems like way too much stuff for us to use um camera switching wise, but it's very, very cool. What I was also wondering about is the um the audio from the Rodecaster, were they basically, because they had six mics for us, was that why they need why were they using the that big one versus like a smaller Rode?
I
I don't know how audio goes into that one either.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm a noob.
if they probably bought that a couple years ago when the mini version of the Rode Podcaster didn't come out yet. So it was
Hmm.
just the Rodecaster Pro 2 was what you could get your hands on. And that can record all the audio tracks separately. It can combine audio, send the audio out to something, which it did in our case. And yeah, it's a great thing. I mean, both we were talking about price earlier before we started stream, and both of these together, just the not counting the camera prices, because those were like probably $1,000 cameras each. They were all DSLRs. It looked like of some variety.
Yeah.
So you got the DSLR plus the lens on the DSLR. Uh, so just the ATEM Mini and the Rodecaster Pro 2, if you bought them both, you're looking at $1,200 for both of them. Now the Rodecaster Duo, which is what they call their smaller Rodecaster, is not $700, but still expensive items to add to your setup,
Hmm.
but very effective items, I would say, if you have a need for such things. But as I have said, I use the Elgato Stream Decks. I have the Stream Deck Plus that controls all my audio.
Right.
And yeah, so the Rodecaster Duo is 500. So is the Rodecaster Duo a very nice thing? Yes, it is. Do you need one to run a stream? No.
I mean, I could, yeah, I could if somebody, essentially, if somebody had that kind of either discretionary income or they were just a tech gearhead, so they went ahead and got it, and they also had a house, which, that's the dream, right? Um, and set up I could see them basically saying yeah, I would love to stream our tabletop gaming, or I'd love to stream our poker night. And yeah, from what I saw, it would be not super simple because you'd still have to learn about everything in, but yeah, it would just be that you would just have your setup, you would have all the audio coming through, going to the ATEM if you really wanted to switch, it really just seemed like a nice clean setup, and I
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't be surprised because obviously it's a professional studio. It's just, aside from the money aspect of the items, it seemed like once you learn to use them, which with any tech is like once you've learned it, then it's more simple. And the point is, it is there to save you time, and it's there
Hmm.
to make it easy on you. I think that's what most impressed me is, like I saw the photos, and I saw right before we recorded, I kind of snuck when you look at the monitors to be like, oh, what does it look like? And I'm like, yeah, of course, it looks like DSLRs taking video.
Hmm.
But then seeing the finished product was like, it was just kind of blew me away at how good it looked. Like seeing the finished, it was really nice.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to get Atom Mini Pro. I would need cameras to make it worth my while, but that'd be awesome. And the Rodecaster Duo for audio looks pretty good. I have to say, I watched a couple videos on it now, and even for what we do for streaming, it's a consideration. I wouldn't
Hmm.
get the Rodecaster Pro 2 because I don't need that much power currently, but the Duo, yeah, I can see adding that in.
Uh-huh. It does have me curious though, like for someone who streams but has, let's say, multiple cameras, and those cameras are very likely going to be USB um 2 or 3 at this point, or C. In OBS, like you can sort of do some production switching back and
Hmm.
forth, and you can use a stream deck or other or like a loop or other things to do your multiple cameras. But like, is there a device like the Atom Mini that is geared for, not necessarily HDMI input, but for USB input? Is that something that is like, that would be something that I would find
I
fascinating to use for
Yeah,
like a different stream.
I was looking
Um,
at that, and it looked like you'd have to use uh, almost all of these things, like the Atom Mini, used HDMI
mhm.
signals. So you would have to
Yeah.
convert the USB to HDMI almost no matter what you used. It seemed like
Okay.
it's very rare, but I would use the Atom Mini in a heartbeat. Uh, if I had access to it, oh yeah, I would definitely be using it. Um, it is a really good piece of kit. Uh,
Yeah,
Plus, it
I
saves to hard drives independently. Now you do have to get specifically this hard drive.
uh-huh.
Not this very simple one, but you do have to
But the
get
style, like that type
yeah,
of the drive, right?
this
Hmm.
drive, the Samsung S5, I think it is T5
Okay.
drive is what it recorded to. But yeah, so I mean, you can, and the Ada Mini does have USB webcam out. So
So yeah, okay. I think, yeah, because it acts as the source, which is wonderful.
mhm,
I think, yeah, that's something, thinking about kitchen streams where I have multiple cameras going at the stove, at my countertop, at me, and I'm wondering, besides just having them, sometimes the USB power requirement of that tends to slow down access because you have 3 devices plugged in to your computer. So being able to plug them into one thing that handles that downstream would be fun and
mhm,
a lot simpler. Um, but that would be I wouldn't necessarily be recording, although if I had that kind of setup eventually, I obviously probably would record something myself. Um, but being able to do that live would be a lot nicer than worrying that essentially the one camera driver is not going to cooperate on the fly with the other two and everything just freezes.
yep. Yeah, it's a lot easier letting that device handle it and having that one connection go into your computer
Hmm.
because the device is handling all the camera video, and it's just going here computer, here's the simplified version of what I'm handling. So
I love that. So yeah, that's cool. And I think a lot now about when I see the highly polished like videos on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and I'm realizing that, yeah, they are definitely, if they're not using something like this, they are definitely doing that. We are doing high-end recording with multiple cameras, and then, if they have something like the Atom, then they are absolutely making it very simple on themselves to edit down later.
mhm.
Um, because otherwise, yeah, like the most complicated thing I do is I may match, like I do audio syncing if I do use multiple cameras, because I have some wireless cameras. but they're often on a delay because they're coming over Bluetooth or over Wi-Fi. So I can do audio sync so that all of the video lines up, which is nice. But having one device that just had it all lined up, no matter what camera, oh, that'd be lovely. Oh wow, I'd be spoiled.
Yeah. And Blackmagic Design, they're a company that want to be your entire ecosystem of production. They do
Hmm.
cameras, they do all the broadcasting stuff you would need to, and they even have like little mini kits you can, yeah, pack this up, go to location, unpack it all, and start filming. Uh,
Okay, that's very cool. Hmm.
yeah, and so they have
Not that I
things
not
that
that
you
I need it. No,
no,
don't put it on the list. I
no,
don't need it.
don't do that. Their cameras are fantastic. By the way, I've gotten to use some at various demos here that I've had in the city, and they are fantastic cameras. They are very expensive, and if you're not a studio, don't bother with it. Like,
Hmm.
if you want to spend 6,000 on a camera, by all means, go for it. But I don't, uh, and I don't need to. Um, but yeah, so they have some cheaper cameras too, like their Pocket Cinema camera, which is $1,295. That is a handy little device right there, and gives you
It better
really,
be for that
really good
price.
results. Yeah.
So we've talked in pretty glowing terms, I think, about the experience, about the facilities, about what did you encounter, or would you like, in terms of advice wise to anybody else who might be in a situation, did you encounter any hurdles or any pain points or anything that, you know, it like, again, the product that you got and the product that you came out with was wonderful, but is there anything that now you might have done or asked for or specified differently for the process?
Uh, the only thing I thought of, and this is a very different concern, um, and they almost can't do it in the space they have because it would require a separate room. Would have what I would have liked is if there was basically a booth for the production stuff, and then the
Hmm.
cameraman had the headset, so our tech guy, our producer, could just talk to the cameraman directly and get the shots instead of trying to do hand signals and figuring out what each one means. But that requires more space than what they they have, and they have a pretty good system. That'd be the only thing because I think you could eke out. I mean, the camera work was fantastic, but you could eke out a little bit better products if you can just talk to the camera person and through a headset.
I was wondering because I realized they were right there. So they were, um, whatever system of communication they had worked out clearly worked well for them. But yeah, there
Hmm.
was no way to verbally communicate adjustments on the fly. And I will note that even though we said ahead of time that if we had to stop, we could, we didn't, which
Yep.
is also just the way it's the way we're used to streaming. Like, we don't stop,
Right.
we just
Yeah.
keep
You just
going no
keep
matter
going.
what
Yeah.
happens. So yeah.
I just thought of it as a live show. You just keep going, no matter what. And yeah.
Yeah. But it's also nice to know that had anything like weird happened, like the light fell, like they wouldn't like there would have been no need for us to stop doing anything, because at the end of the day you could say, okay, boop, boop, gone.
Yep. And they could pause it. We could have reset stuff. That's the advantage of
Yeah.
filming stuff is that something goes horribly wrong, you can go, okay, we just need to stop.
Yeah. Like, okay, that's it. Um, but yeah, I don't know, let's see. I only know a few people who do podcasts regularly, and again, it is very much the way we do them at home is probably the way anybody watching is familiar with, is you're recording yours in, if you're doing it online, you may be using Zencaster. If you don't cop to a Zencaster, I'm not sure how much it costs for Zencaster, but then you just record it locally in Audacity, and then somebody, it's it's, very functional and very workable, but it also means that you are doing more work with that finished product, um, versus a studio like this where it would give you like all the audio would be there, and the most you would do is clip out ums and uhs and pauses, and I don't know, like it's very spoiled, and I feel very like privileged and happy that we were able to do that and get a product that made it easy for us to essentially turn that level of work out, or rather for you to turn that level of work out in a week. I didn't
Yeah.
do anything. Like we just sat, like we were like, okay, bye DC, thanks, and
I was, I had a thought, and it wasn't like a serious thought, but I'm like, did did they want me to go through watching this multiple times during the edit so they didn't have to have all the feels beforehand?
I that was the one thing that I wasn't gonna actually ask you about that on stream today, but since you brought it up, roughly, like the sci-fi thing of somebody experiencing like, a year in like a second,
Mhm.
roughly what is like the fraction or percentage of times that you actually had to watch the episode yourself to capture and cut where you and edit where you wanted to edit?
Well, there was times I just, I'm like, okay, we don't need to watch that, but then the one moment I go back to is Celise at Knock Knock, and that just had me crying again. I'm just like, I have to stop.
Yeah.
And yeah, so there
Um,
were moments like that where I'm like, this is sad. But I also had focus in my mind, like, okay, I have work, I gotta get this done. Let's try to set these feelings because I've had a bunch of them already. Uh, like turn it in
welcome
partially.
back.
I've had this experience. I kind of know what to expect already, so I can kind of shuffle these over here, and I can focus on what I'm doing. So that kind of helped having already been through everything once.
Right.
I mean, having experienced it all live with y'all, and
That yeah, I again, I we have been fortunate, and we have mentioned it at every opportunity, to have you as our producer, and you handled this you handled this final episode just masterfully. Making sure that uh, and honestly everybody, like, in terms of us doing this, we kind of treated it a little bit differently than our normal one. Like, Eugenio, because he, with The Last Refuge, the podcast that he and his friends do, they had just done a similar thing. They had flown to, I'm not sure if it was LA or just the West Coast, and they filmed their entire last season, or at the very least, the last season of this campaign, because keep an eye out. I think there's more coming from them. But they filmed the entire thing in person in over the course of like 2 days. So I can't imagine what that kind of compressed thing was, but there were call sheets. So we had each other's contact information. We had a to-do list of things that we needed to make sure that every person had or did. And it really just kind of flowed seamlessly together. There was nothing that we were like, oh shoot, we didn't get that, or oh darn it, we don't have, like, we were all really prepared. So like the whole experience overall was very good.
yeah. And if you're doing a production, I highly recommend. Eugenio made a call sheet for us. I was just doing like a little checklist. I'm like, okay, I need to make sure these things happen. But then Eugenio took that and made this whole regular call sheet. And if you don't know what a call sheet is, it's something used in productions a lot. And it has a little map of where things are. It has people's names and phone numbers, and it has some other information of what's expected of you, just in little brief details, just to kind of memory check, all on one easy to use page. And having information like that just quickly available is amazing. And I'm gonna plug myself a moment. You can kind of do this with my Notion templates. Uh, type exclamation mark templates into chat, and oh, Herb got it. If you go there, Yeah, I basically set you up to have. I don't call. I don't have a call sheet anywhere, but you basically can do a similar thing with the information that with the things
It,
I
it
provide. With the information that you fill in.
Yeah, it really came at the perfect point because we were essentially all discussing ahead of time, here's what we need to make sure we have, here's the things. And I had a notepad file open because that's usually where my list starts, and then it turns into a Google document. Eugenio also had a document going, and I know DC was making a to-do list. So it was lovely to say, like, you know what, everyone stop. We're gonna put all these lists in one spot, and then we can edit that if need be. Um, and yeah, and the call sheet just also made it feel like a little extra professional. It was like,
Yeah.
oh, here's the address and the weather on that day. It's going to be this. And, but yeah, like just in case we all had a printout or a PDF of everyone's contact information, just in case something happened. And, um, that was nice. But yeah, I mean, for other, if you're doing that, I think if you're doing an actual play completely remotely and virtually, you can still adapt that kind of to-do list of the things that people are going to need. Or from the producer side, I would say even having that, because then it's easier to let the cast members know what you need from them, which is something that they don't always have a list of running in their head. But if you can put it all in one place, then everyone knows, like, oh, okay, got it. I need to make sure that I'm signed in for Pixel Chat for captions and Zencaster for this. And like that, having that readiness, again, like it was one of the things that were like, all of our worries about this, we put on paper. So we don't have to worry about remembering it. We can just look at
Hmm.
it and offset that anxiety for something else.
And right there, we've just encapsulated years of production experience into a couple minutes of what works and how it works, and yeah.
I don't know. I now have a list of things that I make sure if somebody says, "Hey, we want to do a one shot or a charity thing," I now have a whole list of things that I say, "Great. This is going to sound like I'm overwhelming you with a lot of information, so you don't have to answer it all at once. However, boom, 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 boom. Here's all the things that I, as a player, need to know. And what do you need from me?" And they're like, "Oh, you're you're ready." And I'm like, "Yeah, now I have experience. I know what needs to be known."
But
Oh,
that's why I do these chats, so that we can give you this experience, because it's hard to find information like this online about these things, or it's very rare. And so I attempt to do these talks and present it as easily and readily as possible, and I hope they're helpful to people. So, and I thank you for the Gen Con thing. I did not. I'm a bad streamer. I haven't made a command yet for
I was
that.
trying to smoothly transition into the fact that while DC does do these Tech Friday streams, and even on his gaming streams, he has talked about aspects of production and TTRPG, and he's talked about the Notion templates and shown them off on screen. But he's also going to be doing a panel at Gen Con about actual play production, and that's going to be with Joshua Simons.
Yes. Yep.
Yes. Um, so yeah, if you're planning to attend Gen Con, by all means, check the link there. I personally have never been to Gen Con, so I'm trying to remember. I believe that you have to book the event. You have to do tickets. How do they
Yeah,
do it?
yeah. You have to do tickets, or you can do what they call generic tickets. And then if the event is full and you show up with a generic ticket and someone doesn't show up, you can just give the generic ticket and get in. Or if you just
Got
walk
it.
in and go, I wasn't planning on this event. Do you have space? Here's the generic ticket for you. So
Okay. So yeah, that's something that is happening if you want to, there are questions that you think when you see an in person and then the Q&A comes up, you kind of realize that one question that you've never typed in chat before or never sent via DM. So that's also really nice to have in person. But yeah, I've learned and retained a lot about how to better navigate this space and just have, just to basically be and appear more professional, because these are the things that are needed every time, and these are the things that you're ready to provide even if you don't say here's everything up front, you know they're going to ask for this. You have it ready when they ask for it. It's been a big help.
Excellent.
I don't know how, like, I feel like we're in those spaces of talking about, and I don't use the phrase getting back to normal. Please stop using that phrase. But we're getting back to a place of people maybe doing more things co-located versus remotely. And the things that I've learned doing virtual actual play will definitely help and carry over to doing things in person when those opportunities arise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and even if you're not producing a show, a lot of you are streamers. A lot of you are interested in streaming, and so a lot of, even though I center on in these talks are basically around producing TTRPG actual plays, a lot of this will help you just in general streaming, just straight up streaming. So please check them out. Check that out, and yeah, other things I'm doing. And thank you very much for that plug. Stuff, I appreciate it. Again, you can find Urban Bohemian all over the place. It is.
I am all
Is
over
it
the place.
Urban Bohemian everywhere, or did you have to do a underscore somewhere?
I have an underscore. It's under Urban Bohemian underscore on TikTok, but I've been very bad about TikTok, so don't worry about that. Just
Don't worry about
Twitter
that.
is probably easiest. But yeah, I just yeah, like I still have a lot of feelings and emotions about the finale of our show, which is why I've not really gone into talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I will say is I still think it's funny that you can see where you can see in the recording where you and I are telling Masood to actually address his microphone and not just the camera, because he's more trained from like the improv and the stage to address the audience, and he kept like slowly leaning away from the microphone, and we were like, you can actually see Eugenio's hand like in one of the shots, like do that. So yeah, I would say that that's the main thing. Is because we did do an audio test, and I'm assuming that was mostly for levels, so they could tell us
Mm-hmm.
like to like basically put them right in our face, like you would normally think of a mic. And yeah, it was a good time, and I hope that, you know, like if there's another podcast or interview or whatever show, like, and they're like, oh yeah, well we actually do it in person. I'm like, oh okay, that'd be cool. I have no idea if DC has studios where I am, not DC that I'm on with, but
Right.
DC where I live has studios for things like that. But I'm fairly certain because of the growth of podcasts that somebody out there does here.
Yeah, and also check your public access stations if you have one near you. I have I have one in my city. Actually, there's two in, my city, and then one in the neighboring city. Um, and they offer stuff where you could feasibly do a program there and broadcast out to the internet. You gotta meet the requirements of, okay, you record stuff using our things. It's public access, so it's like you take a $20 course, yay, and you're free to go. But then if you create content using their stuff, they also want some of that content on their to broadcast on their channel. But if you have a public access station, they have great resources. The one near me is set up to do audio podcasts.
I'm realizing that our one of our local library locations also, like they have one that has a maker space here, so you can get 3D printing done.
Mm-hmm.
But they also do have they have resources for not live streaming, or actually I would personally double check, but I would also check your local library system, because the library is amazing and magical, and if your library system is supported, they can do probably more than you're expecting. But they have a podcasting space, and I'm not sure if they have any requirements aside from we're just providing this as a service so that you don't have to worry about having the tech at home. So yeah, it's very cool.
And for those watching that may not be in the US, I realized I said the word public access and did not explain at all what it was. And it may not be called the same thing, or you may not have it where you're at. So basically, public access TV is an initiative where it's government funded partially, and they can take it. They're basically all 501(c)(3)s, nonprofits, and they're so people can do hyper local things. And there was on one of them, there's a Vietnamese contingent in the city, and they did a news show all in Vietnamese and everything like that. And that was years ago. I don't know if they still do that, but with public access, you can do things like that. And then the big companies like Comcast and that have to broadcast that signal. That's a rule. So there are resources available there might be resources in your area to make these things. And if it's public access, just call them up, talk to them. They also look for volunteers to do stuff. So if you want experience with video equipment and things like that, they are a good resource to use just to learn this stuff. If you have
I
interest
just
in
posted a
doing
link
so.
in chat. The DC Public Library actually has a space called the Labs, and it has recording space, machine. Basically, check that. Also, I would say check if you have a local university, especially if they are like a community college, I think is the word I'm looking for. They may also have resources there. There's a lot of there's a lot of resources available. Admittedly, we've all thought of doing stuff inside and staying isolated because that's just been safest for a while.
Hmm.
But there are resources out there that you may not have if you don't have the tech or the disposable income to spend on a lot of tech. There are available ways for you to get that done.
Yep. And also for public access, I don't know how the library labs work, but since it's largely volunteer, there's like maybe 5 paid staff members there that teach all the classes and everything. You come to them with an idea for a show, and they go, okay, and they talk you through it and all that stuff. They go, okay, well, you want some help finding volunteers to put your show together. And they take their list of people that they've already trained and contact them for you and say, hey, are you available to do this show on blah, blah, blah? So that's another resource you can use. So if you have something like a public access system in your area and you want to do maybe a little higher end production, check them out. A lot of them offer online the ability to take your video and put it online as well.
It's very cool, and I'm slowly become. I mean, I've always thought that like not that one is better than the other in terms of live streamed versus recorded in terms of actual play, but I will say that there is a strong benefit to if you're going to do an actual play production or even a podcast or something like that, being able to record it ahead of time. Simply because sometimes that is a lot easier for people to schedule weird times to get together for hours at a time than a standard schedule of broadcast.
Hmm.
And just for we pre-record for Cyberpunk Independence, we pre-record both the audio and the video at the same time, and then we stream the video later on Twitch. And there's editing done just because it's like we have to stop or we have to look something up in a rule book, and that's it's better for us to stay in character and not try to vamp while the storyteller is looking something up or while character. So being able to edit that and then put a finished product out. I will not say that like pre-recorded and broadcast is the way of actual play future, because there is a certain element to a live show that you can interact with and things happen off the cuff. But it's a really nice alternative if it's something that all of you can't devote 3 or 4 hours on, like every other Sunday or every Friday or something too. It's really nice to be able to do that.
Yeah, I really like running shows live. That's great for me. I just love the chaos. I've said this before. And it's great being able to interact with chat as things are happening in real time, and I love
Yeah.
it. Uh, but it's two different mindsets as well, from doing this live and then doing a live recording of the show. You kind of got to switch your brain a little.
Hmm. Yeah.
do that. Let's see here. We're going to head to a break fairly soon. Oh, the other thing I want to mention, if you're looking to take in remote cameras and things like that, we typically use Zoom, things like that. There is another option. It takes a little more tech knowledge, and I haven't done it yet because I really need to learn it. But it's called NDI or RSTMP or something like that. One of those.
Ooh,
Both
that's
those. And that is people in other locations, wherever in the world, package up their video signal in this protocol called NDI, send it to you, and your computer unpacks it and you can broadcast it. And that is it. That can be used for very different reasons. That is more effective for, say, a large production where you don't need to interact with the cast so much. You just need to interact with the camera or the camera people and things like that, because it makes it a lot harder to chat with the cast directly if they're using NDI without a separate, like in Zoom,
yeah,
you have that chat window, right? And so,
yeah.
It
reminds me of like the way that when you had Lauren on talking about how both of you are able to speak to us without your voice going out to stream, just to be a backstage, but you also give the Zoom chat so you can give a heads up like, hey, I need to actually say something to you all. And Tanya points out that if you've ever had wireless cameras like ours that work over Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, that wireless connection to your computer, you can use NDI for those. So they're essentially broadcasting their audio video feed to your computer as a source. So yeah, we've done that with the wireless cams before. I've never done that as an output, and that would be kind of cool to try.
Yeah, it's if you're on your own network and you have a remote cam set up, using NDI is very efficient. It's less resource. It's supposed to be, not that it always will be, but it's supposed to be less resource intensive than actually taking the full signal and having that travel, 50 feet to your computer, and then your computer handling that whole signal. It's supposed to just sort of break it down into something that fits, in a small packet and can just go zip and be there. And that's kind of the idea of it. It doesn't always do that, but because we all know how software and hardware work, or don't work.
No, I thought I had something in no. But yeah, I would be fascinated by that. But I think that, yeah, that would still be the drawback of the main things that you need when you are doing, regardless of people's video source and audio source, like that can be the most professional thing. You still need a backstage chat of some form. And that is, right now we're using Guest Star with Twitch, and it doesn't really have a backstage chat. Everything is live. They use the word backstage for production like terms, but there's no like chat window that is only for us to use. And if you use Zoom, it has one, and it's a lot slicker. The VDO Ninja, they do have a chat function, but it's not as polished. But VDO Ninja is also, it works, but it is a power horse. Like even people who have high-end rigs, just trying to send out with VDO Ninja, they're seeing a massive usage. So it's rough. I've said the minute that Zoom gives you the option of sending everyone's individual cam feed for a limited number of people as a separate like browser source, it is all over for Twitch Guest Star. It's just done.
Yep. If Zoom did that, I'd just be using Zoom the whole time. I use Guest Star because Guest Star does do that right now, but there's no backstage chat. So if I need to talk to Herb, I'm using my Twitter DM.
Which I'm ignoring the entire time that we're on this thing. So he still has to say, hey, check your DMs. Until we invent telepathy for streamers, we're pretty much stuck on, we have to communicate in real time, perhaps with a series of nods and winks and blink. No, not even that. Just so yeah, I think that's like the the benefit of using the tools, and admittedly, you're paying for them because they're reliable as well. Discord also works, and it's a lot easier to use a Discord call or a Discord DM to communicate if you're already using Discord, but that is in the same manner as Zoom. You're capturing specific bits of the windows. Or if you're not being that fancy, you're just grabbing the entire call and mirroring it, which sometimes that just works.
Yeah. And let's see what. Oh, I was
But
going to say about Video Ninja, which is a great idea. The big problem with it is that it's peer to peer. So both people on that call, or all 5 different people and you have to have good solid internet between you, or there's
Yep.
going to be problems. Whereas Zoom goes up to a cloud server and then comes down to you, which is a lot better. And Video Ninja, I've used it before. It was great, but the video signals would get weird sometimes, and I didn't want to keep clicking on, okay, this might fix it, and do that, and it took more effort. But maybe if you're doing a one-on-one thing like this, that's a good solution. But for multiple people, it kind of starts breaking down because, again, it requires everybody in that chain to have very robust internet.
Yeah, I think one of the number one line items that I put forth, or that I acknowledge when I'm doing things, is like that I do have reliable internet. If I'm like putting my name in for casting for an actual play or for a charity thing, I say, yep, I have reliable internet. I have a good camera. I'm familiar with moderating slight tech issues on the fly, just because, yeah, that's the number one thing.
Yeah. All right. So, anything else we want to talk about the Chicago Podcast Studio or anything? Otherwise, we'll head to a break and come back. We
No,
might.
they're great.
They're
We
great.
we shouted
Yes.
them out on the show for a reason. They were very nice. They were very professional and casual, and they just kind of let us come in and do our thing. Um, and yeah, it was a good experience all around.
Yeah. They were great professionally and just welcoming and understanding of our needs and very responsive. And that was an excellent experience. So.
I will say the thing that I think we mentioned it this past Sunday, but also they were very quick to pick up on our cadences. They were like, when it came to knowing where to put the camera that was panning, and the shots, they were very quick to do that, which is lovely because we were only there for like a few hours. So that was nice. Again, in terms of just professionalism, they were ready.
Yeah. So check them out if you're planning on doing anything in the Chicago area. It's a great, that whole little area is kind of neat because there's restaurants and everything up and down. Hey, thank you for the follow, and hello, Faison. Welcome on in. We're about to head to break, so we will be right back about 5 minutes or so. So stretch, hydrate, take a bathroom break, whatever you gotta do those things, and we'll see you in 5. Be right back. Hey, everybody, welcome on back to the stream. It's Tech Friday. I'm DC. Welcome to my stream. And I have my guest over this way, Urban Bohemian. Say hi once again to everybody.
Hello, everybody. I'm here. I don't know which way to look because I can't move my cameras around in guest star. But hi, we were just doing tech behind the scenes for the tech that we're about to talk about.
Yes, and if you have any questions, please ask them in chat. We'll be more than happy to answer them, either about what we talked about in the first half or any other streamer tech related thing. We'll have an answer for you. If it's right or wrong, it'll be an answer. So the next thing we wanted to go on was that we both use a Stream Deck and we both use Streamer.bot for our streams. And Streamer.bot at the end of May released an official plugin for the Stream Deck. And we wanted to go over some of that and what that now looks like. Because before you kind of had a side load Streamer Bot into the Stream Deck, now you can do it directly from the Stream Deck software. You just go to the plugin, search it, bring it up. And so we kind of want to go over that. But yeah, everything in my chat that says Hatomancer Bot is the Streamer.bot program running and doing those things. So, the guest command and a bunch of other my commands, my templates command, all those under Hatomancer Bot, the Streamer.bot is in the background, chugging along, doing all the things. And go to my YouTube and find more tech.
Because
Yes.
we talked about StreamerBot on a previous Tech Friday, so hopefully we won't have to rehash too much about why it's pretty awesome. But yeah, if you've ever had a bot that basically was able to see the Twitch integrations immediately and act upon them immediately that you do locally, it's a lot more reliable than a bot that is doing that basically across the web. And they, as DC said, like they had a Stream Deck extension that you were able to install. You just had to do it manually, and Stream Deck would have all the warnings of like, "Are you sure you want to install this unknown, unconfigured extension?" And it was just a simple extension. Now they have an official one that you can search in your Stream Deck software in the actual store for Streamer.bot, and it's actually just installing it. It sits with the same heading, so you are now able to right-click if you want to and uninstall the one that you had to sideload.
Yep. And there's a couple extra commands that the sideload version didn't have. So we'll talk about that first. We have another Streamer Bot thing to cover in another few minutes. But first, I wanted to show off a button that I use a lot. You know it, you love it. It's the Producer to the Stars button. So I'm going to go to that screen. Herb will disappear for a moment, and I'm going to hit it. And there won't be any subtitles, but you'll get to see it. So, boop. And so that command, it does that. I have it all through streamer.bot. And yeah, you go to the website, it's streamer, a period, and BOT at the end. So when we say dot, we do mean just a dot. Dot. Okay. I don't know why that had to be clarified, but just in case.
Well, we got so used to saying .com, .org, .us, .net. So those things sound natural. When you start saying things like the podcast studio earlier is what, like Chicago podcasting .studio?
Yeah, Chicago podcast .studio.
.studio. Like it does, because you're not used to having those new top level domains. You're like, wait, what? So yeah, streamer.bot.
And so I've shown how to set up the action in StreamerBot before. I'm not going to go through that. This is just to show you the new Stream Deck plugin thing that happened in May. So going to switch to the demo window. Boop. Okay, there we go. And as you can see, this is the window you see is what controls this stream currently. There's my guest window that you see Urban myself on. When I do the transparent gag that Herb hates, transparent on. And I also have this lovely time widget here because I always need to know the time on things. But in the upper right corner, you see Producer to the Stars. And so I have that all configured in streamer.bot. And then what you do here is, here's where I have the streamer bot thing. You take the action thing, you pull it to here, it asks you to title it whatever. This button ID thing is that each of the buttons on the Stream Deck has a separate ID. So it's just a command saying, I need this command to go to this button. That's what the button ID does. The background, if you want a different background than the default for the button, you can do that. Instance, streamer.bot is online. What happens, when I hit the key down, the whole graphic going over my head happens. And then the action in StreamerBot that it calls upon, which I call Producer Stars Host because it happens on my host screen. And so yeah, and that's the basic setup. You can title it whatever you want and change some stuff, but that's what it looks like. Under interaction, you can do key down, key long press. You can set up different action sequence when you release the key coming up. That can be something different. And
which
actions.
which is
Actions.
odd. I like that they added the long press because
Mhm.
I use the stream timer I use has a long press to reset it, but it would be so odd to have an action happen on, like, am I holding the button down for this entire time and then letting it go, unless maybe it's like a countdown or maybe it's like a, the end of something. That's kind of interesting. Oh, like I guess if it, oh, I could see a fun way to use it would be like if you held the key down, a drum roll plays, and then when you let the key up, like a tss, like a kind of thing. But um, but yeah, before you were using StreamerBot's WebSockets to connect it to Stream Deck with the original plugin. Now with the Stream Deck plugin, there is on StreamerBot there is an integration tab for Stream Deck to auto start that server so they communicate to each other.
Yeah.
And
And
if for whatever reason you were running multiple instances of StreamerBot on your system, you could have different buttons that linked to different ones.
yeah, you shouldn't need to run multiple instances of StreamerBot, but
Yeah, I
yeah.
guess. Like, I mean, I think that would bring it back around to producing. Like, if you had
Yeah.
an instance of StreamerBot that was set up for somebody else's channel, then you'd be able to engage things on theirs as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I use the long press for my sensor beep outside of StreamerBot. Yeah.
Censoring, what's that?
I don't. I have no idea what the sensor beeping is, so I love the sensor beep. Uh, so
But
yeah,
having it official is nice. Yeah, having an official one that will get proper support, and even if it does no more than it does today, like it never really needs to update unless the software updates. So I'm very happy, and it'll be an easy switch out. Essentially just creating a new button next to the one you had and just putting the new action on it. It's going to be very simple. The button ID, I'm curious. I'm curious if that's essentially adding extra abilities for extra coding to it or something like that. That may, because StreamerBot is one of those things where it does what it does great, but if you know a little bit extra code, you can do some really interesting things. So I'm wondering what the
yeah.
value in knowing the button ID is going to be.
Well, speaking of that, next to the button ID is a little copy paste command, so you can copy that and use that in StreamerBot for other things, and so you could call to this button potentially.
Like now I'm just thinking of like if you had one button on your deck that was the secret button, and maybe you randomized it every time you stream, so when you do, like when you hit that button for whatever, it activates it's like the Pee-wee Herman, like everyone screams real loud, like there's one button that today is the secret button on my stream deck. I don't know which one it is, and it randomizes every time I open StreamerBot, but if I press it, something cool is going to happen, or not cool. But I'm
Yeah,
wondering what since they keep a fairly accurately updated wiki just for documentation, and then other people contribute things, I'm wondering how people are going to start using the ability to identify which button has been pressed in their streamer bot routines.
because yeah, you
Hmm.
could totally set up a random table of the StreamerBot IDs and just go, I hit this button, pick from this list, and that seems like something it should be able to handle. So,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Let's see. But yeah, I mean it's one of those things that, like, there's not really a lot to say about it because it's now just simple and it works, assuming
Hmm.
you've already set up StreamerBot to do it. Um, and I'm not going to need it to do a whole lot more. I'm curious about the long press and the key up. Like, that's kind of an interesting thing to play with. So I'm curious to see what other streamers, because I sometimes am devoid of inspiration myself, and I need to see, okay, what cool things are other people doing?
Right.
And then I have ideas for what I want to do. So I'm curious how other people are going to start using that ability now, because there are not a lot of Stream Deck plugins I use that deal with either the long press or doing something on key up. I think the most unique thing is you have the Stream Deck Plus with the dials and the touch bar. So
Mhm.
there are things that do that. But yeah, I don't have anything that uses the buttons in any way other than just press it or press it again.
Yeah. And the other thing we want to talk about, uh, Streamer Bot, I almost said Stream Deck there, but Streamer.bot is that if you're a Patreon at their silver tier, you have access to an alpha build of their new stuff. And there was a streamer that had permission to preview that alpha build. And I saw that. And in the new build coming out in, a few weeks now, however, I'm not sure their turnaround time, but it's usually been just a few weeks since they announced an alpha build to, alpha to the beta build and then to the final build. Is not too long of a turnaround time once they get through the alpha stage, and they will have the biggest change is that you have your streamer.bot commands on one side. You have what they do on the other called sub actions. So you have actions that call to the sub actions, and let me just bring it up here. Where is it? And so above the sub action window, they are going to have. Sorry, gotta find it. Okay, here it is. So above the sub action window, they are going to have triggers. And what triggers the commands, instead of you hunting around for what calls this up, it'll just be another window up on top of this one. Let me see if this works. Demo window. It didn't capture it. Okay, hold on. One moment. Doing a thing. Continue talking. Continue as normal. Ask
Oh,
questions.
sorry. I think, yeah, I think what they're adding is going to make it a little easier to put those routines together, because right now it is, you have to be very familiar with the different categories of the sub actions and everything you can do. But putting it basically, this is a good example of a UI improvement to make it a little easier for you to visually see what you need to do and what you need to click. Um, I haven't, I'm not in the Discord, and I did look to see if they were posting it anywhere else, and I haven't watched the streamer. I think he goes by Nutty. Um, and honestly, that's who I follow for anytime I'm trying to start learning how to do anything with StreamerBot. I look for one of his streams. It was the basic programming stream that got me able to realize that I know just enough C# to add a program to my bot for the auto shoutouts, which I remember I need to share that with DC, because I said when I figured it out I would share it with him. But just enough programming to be able to make the auto shoutouts work without having to do a lot more work. And so I watch his streams anytime I need to figure something new out. So I want to go back and watch it to see what else is coming, because I am very excited.
Okay, I have that up now so we can show you. Boop. Okay, so uh, on the left here, we have all the actions that I have, and I separate them into categories. I click on action. We'll do the barrel roll thing. And here's the sub action instructions over here. I can right click. I can edit these, and you can see, kind of how it works, what it calls. There is additional programming in OBS. So just so you know, this action works by calling on filters in OBS, and then OBS does most of the work to make the barrel roll happen. This just calls that. But above the sub action window now will be a window just like this that says triggers. And so instead of having commands here and going, oh, okay, this is the trigger for this action here, it'll just all be on one screen.
It's going to be a lot easier to deal with.
Yeah.
I think I realize it's unless you're really hardcore into doing a lot of different automation things or a lot of different things, a lot of the stuff you do with a bot is fairly limited. So this is really like, oh, now I have an idea to do a new thing, and the interface is going to make it a lot easier to build out your new routine with the actions and sub actions.
Yep. And there are, of course, other bots available. This is just the one we use. You have Mix It Up. I know Steven uses that a lot. And if you want to know how to use Mix It Up, go ask Steven. He knows Mix It Up quite well. Uh, but if you decide you don't like Streamer.bot for whatever reason, there are other bots out there to use, and they add fun things and can make some things easier to handle. And sometimes it takes to work out complex actions that you'd have to click around a lot and things like that. So
Yeah. StreamerBot is very well supported, and like as I said, their wiki has a lot of detail on what everything does, so that's nice. And then there are a lot of people out there who have posted. If you go to StreamerBot's Twitter account, they retweet people who create kind of the free actions that you can import into, which honestly is the reason that StreamerBot has risen sort of to among the top bots is if I use StreamerBot, DC uses StreamerBot, my friend Wireless Riot uses StreamerBot. If they figure something out that I haven't figured out, I can just get it from them. They can just say, well, here's my command. It works. Just change in whatever you need to change. And I can just immediately import it. I don't have to do a long Google document and say, go to this, click this, do this. It's so much nicer because that is the one thing I missed with my other bots is when I changed them, I had to rebuild all of the routines in each of them every time. And I'm glad that I, at the very least, with StreamerBot, don't have to do that.
yep, I've watched. I'm going to endorse Nutty's videos. I think he lives in Australia, makes cool videos, and yeah, he uses StreamerBot, and I looked at it and go, yeah, I can. I think I can use this too, and yeah. So I've learned a lot from him and his videos, and that's Nutty. If you want another source of tech videos, and you don't just use me, what?
Who would dare?
Who would
What?
dare?
But it can be so I will say, yeah, the first thing I would say is ask a friend who uses StreamerBot first, because if you go and type StreamerBot into the searches, either Google or YouTube, you're going to get a lot of those like 5-minute tutorials, which don't really help. Or in the case of Nutty, I admit his stuff is amazing, but usually it's his entire stream uploaded to YouTube. So you then have to find where in it. So sometimes like ask your friends, like, hey, this thing doesn't work. What am I doing? And then go search. But it's very easy to find stuff to configure. I know all of the bots out there have got good, rich communities around them. So there's always somebody who is really easy to ask. I can't figure out this thing. How are people doing it? The auto shout out, which is interesting. I had seen people talking about how to do it, and then they just said, okay, yeah, here's how every time anybody says anything, here's how to say hello to them. And I'm like, that's great, but I need to reduce that to a specific subset of people. So I had to learn the coding from that. But I did that coding by going to one of Nutty's streams where he was just doing stuff. And I was like, oh, I understand the syntax for this code. I can do it now. But yeah, it's me remembering that I know how to program from time to time. Because yeah, moving the little letters and symbols around is my job. Sometimes I admit to it. Shut up! Don't at me. Oh no! Oh yeah, I should probably. I think I may just set up a channel in my Discord to be like, here's the basics. Because yeah, I think I said it. I know DC has said it, and other people have said it. It's very daunting when you first start it because anything that has the power to do so much is really scary to use, and it's also really weird to configure. And yeah, When I learned Streamlabs chatbot, it was the same way. They have a massive PDF that lets you know everything you can do, and then some stuff just stopped working, and it's like, oh, okay. Well, Twitch changed their API, and Streamlabs chatbot didn't keep up. Oh, okay. I guess we'll just try something else then. So yeah. But yeah, I just love the automation that it can do, and it just acts like your regular bot. I mean, Nightbot can do a lot of the things it can do as well. It's just I like having that control in my hands locally for stuff that needs to get done. And the OBS integrations are fantastic. Like, being able to change. Like, I added a button to turn on and turn off my green screen because, like, I want to show something that's green, so I just turn the green screen off, and now it's a Stream Deck button, and it's also a command that I or my mods can use in chat to turn it on and off. So yeah.
Yeah, it's very useful, and it does depend on the level of customization you want to put on your stream. Where I recommend trying out a different bot like Streamer. Well, I'm going to recommend Streamer.bot, but your mileage may vary on it. But Nightbot, Moobot are perfectly fine for a lot of things. I just wanted more functionality out of what those could do, and yeah, Streamerbot was that solution for me, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. And there's a lot of value I can add to my streaming with it.
Yeah, I firmly believe that I firmly believe like two bots, one web-based and one locally, is your best bet. The reason I like a web-based bot is with Nightbot, as most of us who use Nightbot know, you can update it, but you can also allow access to your mods so that they can update something. If they had to do something on the fly, you don't have to stop and make a command yourself or anything. They can do it, which is why the web-based bot is fun. And StreamerBot can do things on your end that are just you're controlling. Although I think DC and I did test. I can't remember what it was called, but it allowed me basically to have a mini deck via the web that was able to activate things in your OBS.
Oh yeah, Streamer.bot
So
does that through an interface. You go to their website, and I can't
okay,
remember exactly where it is, but you go to Streamer.bot website, you click a button, and you say, okay, here's an action I made in Streamerbot. I want my person to have access to that. And yeah, you had access to those buttons, and when you click them, just stuff happened.
I think now I want to try that since I now have some StreamerBot actions that are set up that are fun and innocent and don't really change anything around. But that also gets back and I talked about it then, is essentially if for whatever reason you as a streamer needed someone to sort of do producery type things on another end, like realizing you were on the wrong stream or you're having a guest on and they have access to the scenes and the close-ups and the one-offs, like that would be kind of fun, to allow somebody else to have that access. The difficult part of that is that you'd need super low latency of them watching, and you'd need perhaps an audio or a text channel for them to be able to talk to you in real time. Because yeah, when I was watching it, it was still on a bit of a delay, so it was still like, it's not the best, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think I had you up in Discord to make it near real time, but that wasn't quite
Yeah.
working for some reason. So
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts at the end, and it really does come down to everyone's individual internet speed and computer configuration. So there's a lot of things you can't always account for.
yeah, and sometimes Discord is a little flaky because it's software.
Yeah. Do you know what did they announce or did they talk about anything else that's going to be coming up in the update for StreamerBot?
That again, it was their full stream, so I just kind of
Oh
was
yeah,
I was
'cause-
watching it live, but that's the main part I caught, and that was the. And when people came in later and said, what's going on?" He's like, "Well, you can watch the VOD back." Of course, I didn't ask that, and I didn't watch the VOD back. But that was the big thing, was the trigger stuff. It looked like
nice.
they from the menu I saw, it looked and they have said this before. They have another bot and that I use as well. I don't know if I've taken good care of it though right yet, but they have something called Speaker.bot, which does auto things, and they want to integrate that directly into streamer bot, and it looked like they are starting
Oh,
to set some of that up just by me looking at the menu, not him saying anything about it. But it looked
okay.
like some of that integration is starting to pop up to be easier to do it.
That that would be nice if it were all in one. That way you're just running less things on your end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be fun. Because I don't
So
really,
works.
I've never used text to speech for anything. And it's fun to see it work in your channel.
Hi.
Um,
Oh, there it works.
hey, nice. So that'll be fun. But
So yes,
otherwise, yeah, it's
the
just
exclamation marks say only VIPs and mods and me can do. I'm not enabling that for just anyone coming in to do, because yeah, no, that'd be a bad idea. But yeah, so you can type exclamation sign, and we know when I just say herb, it says
um,
urbanization.
yes. Well, I am urbanization bohemian. That's my full name. The bot's calling me out there.
Urban Bohemian is great.
I have wondered though to get essentially that's the kind of thing where you see the text to speech on redeems, and now essentially if they put it all together, StreamerBot would be able to if somebody did leave a message when they're resubbing, it
Lasair
would
is
be able
great
to
too.
say that kind of thing versus um something separate. So yeah, I've never used text to speech because we put up with honestly a lot of streamers put up with a lot of harassment on Twitch, so we tend to not use text to speech by default because we're just like, no, we don't need anybody using that for anything weird. But yeah, I just like the ability to automate and nice.
Thank you,
Um,
Cypher.
to automate and have so many things running behind the scenes that you know are going to work the way that you specifically want them to. I will say testing them can be a nightmare because like testing the auto shout out was awful because I had to keep resetting the timer in the bot so that every time I said something, it felt like it was the first time on over again. And then I eventually had people come into chat and say stuff. So yeah, your chat logs will look like a bit of a mess when you're testing stuff out, but knowing it's working in the way that you want and not having to, I tend to try to not ask my mods to do too many things unless they need to be on deck for active moderation stuff. So being able to put a lot of commands and timers in the bot is nice. Timers is one thing I haven't completely figured out in StreamerBot. It still confuses me a little bit. So that's been my next StreamerBot homework is to
Mm-hmm.
figure out how to get timers to work the way I want them to.
Yeah, I did have a timer command to remind me to take a break every hour, but
Hmm.
it depended on that timer seemed to have started when uh streamer.bot activated, not when I went live. So I wasn't quite sure how to adjust that.
Yes. Um, and I do use my mods for what they're for, the heavy moderating stuff. I just want them to also sit back and like multitask like I do when I watch streams. Um, but I've realized if I can get timers working, because for me, I run I run an ad break and I have a streamer bot command that says, hey, I'll be back in 3 minutes or hey, I'll be back in 90 seconds. And I usually remember I have Nightbot remind me to run it. And then I run it in StreamerBot. But I'm realizing that because I can code, I can simply tell StreamerBot to run those ads automatically, um, or at least to know that if it is a Tuesday, I'm starting at
Mm-hmm.
3:30. So if the day of the week is Tuesday, tell me to run a half an hour ad first, then run hour ads versus sometimes I do it wrong and I run an hour ad and then I have to figure out where in the 30 minutes. So things like that. I don't know if I would ever still have it automatically run ads just because that's not something that I want to happen because it will cut you off in a moment when you don't want it to. Um, but little things like that, and they're not very complex to program. You just have to remember like, here's what I want to happen, here's what I have to tell it to do, and then testing it is the hard part.
Exactly. Excuse me.
Mhm.
All right. Wow, we're almost done with the episode. Holy cow.
Yay!
Yay.
I've talked a lot. It's like you get I think, I mean, honestly, Steven has said it best. Like you get streamers on who talk like you don't have a problem filling up your content. And I am not as chatty as Steven, I think. I don't know. It's not a competition, but I feel like from a friendly, chatty standpoint, Steven has me beat. But yeah, I also am in that nerdiness where the type of stuff we talk about, I could talk about all day.
Oh yeah.
Like I could talk about StreamerBot and everything it can do all day, and that for me is fun. I like talking about it more than I like sitting down and doing it. That's the hard part, is making me sit down and say, oh, all this is on my to-do list. I'm actually going to sit down and now and try to program it in today, because I have that mythical thing called free time. It's a myth.
Exactly.
Doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist. Time is weird soup, as they say lately. I don't know who they is, but not as chatty as Steven.
That's my new tagline.
You'll
Gonna
get it
get
on
that
your
on a
business
shirt. Not
card.
as chatty
Shirt.
as Steven. Yeah.
Get
That's
a
it.
mug.
Not as chatty as Steven.
We have a whole marketing campaign around this now. So.
Clearly, yeah. This is now. Yeah, this is how inspiration strikes. You got to run. You got to run with it. No, it's been fun. I wanted to ask you more questions about what you did after we got the drive from the podcast studio. So I was like, aha, I now have you as a captive person that has to answer my questions live on the internet. So perfect.
So yeah, since it is Friday, I can run a little longer. If you have more questions to ask her, go ahead and can do that. Or if anyone in chat has questions, feel free to put them up. Need that as a producer to the stars like action.
Just gonna hold on. I'm just gonna write that down. Yeah, just. Yeah,
just taking notes.
That'll I might open up Canva a little bit later and make a transparent something. Who knows? Oh goodness. I think that's also where you get to StreamerBot lets you add back in, like you can worry less about the stuff that works and you can start adding back in the fun stuff. Like if you want to do a sight gag, if you want to do a weird visual thing, getting StreamerBot to like look for people using, my favorite is I treated my emote as a command in StreamerBot. So if somebody uses my emote, StreamerBot will trigger off actions based on that. And like that's one of the things, like I've never been able to do that well with other bots where, you know, they're counting, hey, like they can basically say, how many times has my emote been used this stream? And it will just keep a running total of those things. Like which interestingly enough, you can do behind the scenes. You don't have to actually have it active on chat. So that's fun. But yeah, it's nice to be able to do the silly stuff if you want. Because I'm not like a weird esports hyping, screaming streamer. I just do goofy, funny things. I know. I know. Don't watch me play Destiny. That doesn't count. But otherwise, yeah, I just do goofy stuff, and it's nice to be able to like, yep, I just want a weird thing to happen. I want a disco ball to appear and music to play when I push a button, and it does, and that makes me happy.
And yes, Stephen Joyce is a delight, and we love his cozy streams, and we would hug Stephen if we could. So if he accepts hugs.
But yeah, I got on all my questions.
So
Stephen Joyce is a delight.
Yeah.
Good work. Did it do it?
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Yeah.
That's a future. That's a future question / ask / something is figuring out, like, as a guest, unless I'm listening to the stream actively, I don't hear the audio that goes out on your stream. And that's a fun audio mixer routing thing to wonder
Yeah.
about later. Not that guest star allows for multiple audio inputs, but I'm wondering if that's something that you could do with a hardware or a software solution in the middle. But again, that's another thing, and it's also another thing to have on your desk,
Hmm.
and desk space is limited. as is computer desktop space. It's all limited.
Yeah. I couldn't tell you how I got it to work, but I did once get that to work over Zoom, a Zoom call on a production. And
Cool.
it was a mess trying to remember that, and then, turning it off, and then, like, I'm just like, okay, it works this way, right? And then you're going live and you're like, oh no, I've completely forgotten how this works. I just tested it like an hour ago.
Oh yeah.
Because it required a completely different thought process that I just don't do often. And so,
I think that's the main thing, is that, although admittedly, I will say another setting in StreamerBot is you can tell StreamerBot which audio output to use for its sound effects. So if for whatever reason you like, I think I now use it through the so my wavelength sees it as the game audio, since I usually don't use StreamerBot if I'm not streaming a game, therefore that. But yeah, you could route it in interesting ways. It just would, like, you wouldn't want it messing with your captions or your microphone out. It's a whole thing, and I'm having more ideas now that I'm not going to write down, because I don't want to go down this rabbit hole. It's Friday. No, it's Friday. I don't have time for this.
that's okay. We got a marketing plan for a tagline for you that you can use. So, we're doing good.
Yeah, work has been done today. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Not as chatty as Steven. Coming soon to Urban Stream. All right. So, if you're just tuning in, we're ending. So sorry. Watch the VOD.
Bye.
That's funny. Next up, not as wet as water. Exactly.
Alrighty then.
Alrighty. So you can watch the VOD like now, or you can wait till Monday or Tuesday when I'll have this up on YouTube for everyone to enjoy, and I'll post on Twitter. So let's get in our final plugs and everything. So, Brian, tell them everything you're doing.
Everything I'm doing right now is streaming and taking a slight break after Rivals for TTRPG stuff, but I am streaming on my own channel on Twitch, twitch.tv/Urban Bohemian, Saturdays and Sundays and Tuesdays. Tomorrow morning is probably going to be Star Trek Resurgence, because I skipped this previous Tuesday stream. We're playing that, and then on Sunday is Ducks, and I'm probably going to add some demos in, so I'll still be doing D&D on Sundays. It'll be Demos and Ducks. I'm workshopping that name. It's fine. Other than that, the best way to find out what's happening with me is to follow me on Twitter.
All right. And that's at Urban Bohemian, all the things. You can find me under !DC in my chat, and go to dclasair.bio.link, and that's a link to all my links. It'll be DC Lasair on Twitter and Insta, a bunch of other places. You can even see some of the stuff I produce, and links to Tech Fridays there. So a link to links. Yeah, I'm using technology. Yay me.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Just gonna keep smiling.
You can find my YouTube.
But yes, go to dclasair.bio.link and click on the things, because DC is happy when the numbers go up for the clicks.
Yes. If you click on the links there, there's a graph on the bio.link site that shows you how many people have clicked on the thing, and so every time you click that line goes up, and so I like 90-degree lines, so keep going. There's my YouTube right there. I mentioned my Notion templates. You can find those here. The first link will take you to a bunch of Notion templates, which I've designed for the TTRPG space. So you have things like a DM screen, a player's journal. The most recent one is a quick action one. So you just type in your 3 to 4 actions, and there is a cat. Cat, don't chew on my green screen. Stop it.
Oh,
Hello, yes, you can come here and I will pet you. All right. Good kitty. Cat tax, pay it. Okay, hold on.
oh my goodness.
Hold on. Okay, come here. Come
Oh,
here.
right, the cat tax. Yep.
Okay, yes, I know you won't like this, but there, kitty. Say hi. Say hello.
That cat is like, I'm not looking
What
any,
are you
no,
doing? Where are you?
nope, I'm
Come
not
here.
looking anywhere you want me to look.
Yeah.
Nope.
Nope. Serious. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for the raid. You just missed the cat tax. It's a serious raid. Lovely. Love that. For me, cat is still demanding attention. So raid cat. Okay. Raid cat tax. Come here again.
Oh my goodness.
Come on. Come on, you fluffy beast. All right. There you are. Here's my cat.
This is very much like, why are we going through this? Why is this happening?
Why is this happening? I just want you to pet me. I don't want you to pick me
Right.
up.
I just wanted some attention. That's it. I
Yep.
can.
Come here. No.
I'm sorry. I'm not sure how much y'all can see on DC's because of the crop, but I see the cat looking at the green screen, and that gives me a concern. Like, just looking up, I'm like, oh no, is this a climbing moment? What's about to happen here? I don't know.
Cat is like, I got you. Okay, well, we were wrapping up, but cat interruption. So
I forgot to ask, what's on deck for upcoming Tech Fridays for you, DC?
To be determined. I have no idea what I'm doing next week.
I have no idea what I'm doing after I get off this call, so that's fair.
Yeah. One thing I haven't done yet is show off my recent template on screen, so I might do that next Friday and show Notion templates off and the quick action one, which you're trying to decide what to do. It's just designed for you to have 3 or 4 actions and links to them and what they do ready to go. Nope, not there. Okay, we've had this talk, Giddy. Nope. Cut it out.
Okay, I'm sorry. That kitty is taken. It may just be the face petting, but it looks like it's about to take a heckin' chomp out of the bottom of the green screen, and I'm like, oh.
Like, lay down or something, or go do cat things.
It really.
It's the cat show now. Yep, it's all the cat.
Yeah, that cat is officially like, this is your 2.5 hour timer. It is time to pay me some attention and get off of the internet.
So yeah, next week I wanted to go over Notion templates again because I had a newer Notion template and I've had it out for a month now and I haven't gone. Cat, come on, go down. Hold on, or talk to the peoples.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is kind of cracking me up. Because normally DC's cat just stays completely out of frame, doesn't really do much, or meows from a distance because wants attention, and doesn't usually wander into shot. And today I'm definitely seeing the kitty at the bottom of the green screen, like, oh, okay, that's a thing. But yes, I don't know how to use Notion very well. So I tried using the Notion templates and they are nice. I like to use them for cheat sheets for TTRPG stuff because I have found that for TTRPG stuff, I love digital tools. And, obviously like, D&D Beyond and Roll20 are the easiest ones to use. But with Notion templates, you're able to, if you need to set that up for something else, a different system, you're able to kind of put in your own notes. You're able to add things for other stuff. So I need to get better at using Notion myself. Excuse me. Um, and I like Notion. Like it's like Medium, but for entire websites. And I feel like more people should kind of lean into it. I have a Notion and I don't do anything with it because I have a blog. So I would sort of split time between the two anyway.
Yes, and
Welcome back.
hey, hi. Yeah. So my cat won't eat my green screen now, hopefully, unless she decides to come back down. But let's see here. Like to hear how you got the Notion. Nice.
I I am legally obligated to acknowledge that comment because yeah, it's fine. It's yacht rock. It's more yacht rock than disco, but that's okay.
See, you made a what's the thing everyone was making, rate sheet streamer resume thing, but haven't touched it since. Yeah, I gotta do one of those too.
I'm also curious about maybe a media kit template, but for me, there is a site that does media kits and they have integrations with YouTube and Twitch and Instagram. So they are able to, sorry, they're already able to pull those numbers in live. And the one thing about a media kit that is hard is you have to make sure that you give yourself a monthly or a bi-monthly reminder to get those numbers and update the numbers. And that's kind of a pain in the butt.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit of a pain in the butt.
Yeah. And when I get around to it, I'm going to be making a personal website because I already have domain names using Notion. And there's the other services that you can put on top of Notion, which make it much more functionable, whatever, as a website. So I'm going to use a site called super.so, and you make a Notion template, you put super on top of that, and it makes it much easier to navigate as a website
Nice.
instead of a Notion template. So that's the plan whenever I get around to it, I suppose. But yeah, I need my own personal landing page at some point. And it'll kind of be like the bio.link thing and maybe have a blog or something attached to, but it's not going to be terribly complex. It's just going to be here,
Yeah.
go here, and here's all my stuff, just in a little more
I
organized
essentially
fashion.
I may look for a template because people were like essentially on my blog is where on my website, urbanbohemian.com/contact, I basically created the same kind of links that they use for when they make the digital cards that just have like
Mm-hmm.
one line buttons to all of your links. Because I was like, well, I may as well send people to my site. So people using Notion for stuff like that is nice. Not that it's bad that you have a .bio.link or a .card, .co.
Mm-hmm.
None of those are bad. It's also nice to be able to control it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you teach yourself a little bit about web development, which as somebody who works in web development, I say everyone should learn about web development. It's the most important skill on the planet.
Ding.
It's not, obviously, otherwise I would probably be on vacation all the time. But anyway. But yeah, I look forward to getting more into Notion. So I look forward to you going over your Notion templates again, because that gives me nice ideas.
Yeah. All right. And what was I on before cat interruption? I think YouTube.
Yes, we were at the YouTube stage.
Yes. So go to my YouTube, see the previous Tech Fridays, see my YouTube shorts of various chaos, and my little tech demos that I do as well. They're more bite sized. So if you check out the tech demos playlist, you'll see. I don't think one goes longer than say 15, 20 minutes. Check those out as well as all the Tech Fridays. There have been great discussions. I've had a lot of great people on who are currently in chat. Hi, Stephen. Hi, Cypher. And and we talked about Notion templates, here's my template list once again. We
Oh,
talked about the first
PC.
link. Yes.
Don't forget the link for Gen Con.
Gen Con. Oh, right. Yeah, Gen Con link. Got that. I got that. So the second in the templates link there, it will take you through pre-production to post-production of your show. So please use that. And Twitter, I had a poll. Twitter has officially named it the Lasair method. So, call it that everywhere you use it and go, have you heard of the Lasair method? And then point them to that link and they will know. And that's just how it spreads. Start doing it. Just say, hey, you're doing a production? Check out the Lasair method. Yeah, it's right here. And then
Just gonna come up with it now. It's just like, oh wow, that producer's really method. Yeah.
yeah,
Stanislavski? No, Lasair.
yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of when.
Oh dear.
All right, and there's the Gen Con link to the panel I'm having with Josh Simons, all about producing TTRPG actual plays. So if you're going to Gen Con, there are still seats left. Come on in, sign up, get your ticket, and see me live. I look kind of like this. So when you see
Can confirm.
something like this, similar, it's probably me. And I'll be sitting behind the big table, so and there'll be a PowerPoint, and you can talk to us. It'll be great.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah, and if you can help me out, I am doing a bit of a financial ask because stuff on my PC is slowly not working. Right now, I'm down to a few USB ports. I have a powered USB strip to kind of make up for it now, but the port that's plugged into might die too. I don't know. So I have things that are dying and things that are like programs just start to flicker on my PC now on occasion. So if you can help out with that, I have a goal on my coffee for at least part of the cost. I'm not computer's expensive. So anything you can do to help get me there so I can get a new machine and I can keep working, because all of what I do depends on me having a computer. Like all my jobs, the job you don't see and everything else, I have to have a working machine. And yeah, if you can help with that cost at all, that would be great, because it's a big unplanned cost and I really need to start looking seriously at that as this PC starts to not function in ways. Luckily, I can still stream, so yay. On that note, I will be back on Mondays at I stream regularly Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. So come on by. Say that I'm playing Tears of the Kingdom still, going through that. I have one temple left, and then I want to find all of the memories, and then I'll be completing the game. So however long that takes in the next week or two, we'll be getting through that. So thank you all for joining us today. It's been great. Thank you for being in chat. Thank you, Urban Bohemian, for once again joining me on a Tech Friday. Yay, this has been so much fun. So please.
It has. It's been great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and that my cat Hannah, if you want to know, the cat's name's Hannah, made an appearance, special guest star this stream. Cat, so and make sure you say hi to her, send her some love somehow, and I'll just pet her more, because she comes up to me and like wraps her tail around my leg, and that's like I need pets, and I like you, so
Aw.
yeah.
That, and we're gonna help patent with Elgato. We're gonna help patent a cat repellent green screen. So
Exactly, yeah.
yeah, you heard it here first.
Just a little robot arm with a spray bottle comes out.
See, that's something AI would be good for. Okay, I'm just saying.
So, please, everyone, have a great weekend. Be kind to others. Be kind to yourself. That's the big one, and often the hardest one. Being kind to yourself. And yeah, I will see you all on Monday. Please go check out the Rivals of Waterdeep finale on all the things. It's really a great episode. We all worked really hard on it, and please, it's a fantastic. It's rare to get a finale of an actual play show, and it's really good. So please check it out. And I will see you all on Monday. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great weekend. Bye.